Every year on the 29th of June, we celebrate the great solemnity of Saints Peter and Paul. Now, two very important questions arises. Number one, why do we celebrate this solemnity? And number two, who is Saints Peter and Paul? Well, those who have visited Rome in Italy will know that two of the largest basilicas in this city, and for that matter, the whole world, is the Basilica of St. Peter, located at the Vatican, and the Basilica of St. Paul, which is outside the walls of Rome. Now, you will find a relic, that is the body of St. Peter, underneath the Basilica of St. Peter. And those who have gone on the Scavi tour, Scavi is a nice word for excavation, and the Scavi tour will take you down the lower basilica and then even one level down below that, where you'll be able to see the bones of St. Peter. And if you visit the Basilica of St. Paul outside the walls, you can visit his tomb as well, which is located at the main altar of the Basilica of St. Paul outside the wall. Now, you can also visit the place where St. Paul was martyred, about 2 kilometers away from the Basilica. There is now an abbey there, and it's known as the Abbey of the Three Fountains. Anyways, let's get back to our story of Saints Peter and Paul. Well, these two saints are considered the two great patron saints of Rome, and they are also two of the greatest saints in the church as well. You see, St. Peter is given the keys to the kingdom by Jesus Christ, and he's given the honor of being the head of the apostles. In fact, the gospel reading from the day of the solemnity of Saints Peter and Paul is taken from Matthew chapter 16, verses 13 to 19. After St. Peter confesses that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, Jesus says, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my heavenly Father. And so I say to you, you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." Perhaps you have heard that the Pope is the successor to St. Peter. Well, this is true and quite amazing if you think about it. There is this unbroken tradition of apostolic succession from Jesus Christ handing the keys to St. Peter passing on this power, this authority from one pope to the next, to the next, to the next, down to the 266th pope today, which is Pope Francis. Well, as well, St. Paul is considered the apostle to the Gentiles. He was a Roman citizen and was training to become a Pharisee. If we recall in the Acts of the Apostles, prior to his conversion, St. Paul was a persecutor of Christians. But then on his way to Damascus, he experienced a profound conversion, which you can read in the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 9, verses 1 to 19. You see, St. Paul is quite unique because he did a complete 180, a complete change, a conversion. And instead of going around persecuting Christians, he ended up going around preaching the message of Jesus Christ. In fact, almost half of the New Testament texts are attributed to St. Paul in his letters to the various communities during his time, which we can see in the New Testament. For example, the letter to the Romans, to the Corinthians, to the Thessalonians, etc. And so as we celebrate then the solemnity of Saints Peter and Paul, who are both witnesses to the faith and who suffered death and martyrdom for the faith, we are inspired to see their testimonies and how their testimony lead us to faith in Jesus Christ. And if you ever get a chance to visit Rome, be sure to stop by and visit the tomb of St. Peter at the Basilica of St. Peter and the tomb of St. Paul at the Basilica of St. Paul outside the walls. These two patron saints of Rome truly help us to recognize the faith that they profess. And for this reason, we celebrate their great solemnity. May God bless you.